Hi, Ms. Honorable. We are back. Time is now 9:24 a.m. on March 19th, 2026. And what we have in front of us is Pepco's response to OPC's data request 1-11. So the first piece of data we have here are the SPC 101. These are the hourly intervals for use or delivered energy. And we already talked about the hourly intervals for June 25th for the 201 channel. So then let's see, what do we have next? Now this is the 301 101 channel. And so these are the alleged register readings. And you can see right here the display code is K. Now this is for my old meter that was when I established service on 7/1/2023. And I think that's the same page, 513, yes. And then I take us down to 5/21/2024. And here you can see this is when my meter was swapped out. There is no midnight reading on 5/22. I'm not sure why. The meter was swapped at noon on 5/21. I have a picture of that. Let's see. Well, that's sorry about that. Let's take that over here. Take this. And I'm sure we have it somewhere. 5/21. Yes, this is 5/21 at 12:01 p.m. You can see it is the new meter, and it has a reading of 000. And we will shut that now. And so it's interesting that when you swap the meter, for some reason you changed this from K to CS total kilowatt hour function. So I don't know what that display code means. Nobody has told me, of course, because nobody will talk to me. But it is a function. It's being calculated, which is weird. And so then we go down to... is this one? Oh, okay, so here is the pulse data to multiplier kilowatt hour conversion. That's not my spelling. This is came from Pepco. This is the data that Mr. Adeyemo accused me of making up or something when he spoke with OPC on, I believe that was November 5th, 2025. Now here's what's fascinating. They take the intervals all the way back to 11/17/2024 at 2 p.m. They reprogrammed my meter allegedly at between 1 and 2. Now there's no corresponding ping that day, so I'm not sure exactly how they updated the the information on the meter, because usually that requires a firmware push from the advanced technology team, or I think that's who's in charge of the UIQ telemetry back to the meter. But it's very interesting that they have no data in the UIQ database, because that means that these pulses did not come in through the database, because how could they if there's no data there? And the meter data goes into UIQ first, and then from there to the Itron EE system before going to either O-Power for the portal or SAP for billing. Then we have, then we go down to March 23rd, 2025. And for some reason, the data starts right here. And all of a sudden, there's allegedly data in the UIQ database. It is interesting because I believe this is about 45 days exactly, maybe, to the last day, which is 5/7, or it ends at 10 a.m., which is when they probed my meter. Now, Pepco did not give me any of the logs from this download. I have reasoned strong suspicions that this 1.5x multiplier is probably not being applied on all of this data. I suspect that they worked backwards from the value they wanted to create these pulses because they wouldn't have a 1.5 straight multiplier. They change that every month. So again, here is the excess gen, same data. Then we get this raw pulse data, and see this channel 3, this is where I'm getting the voltages from. So this is 250 volts, and this is what I said earlier, 11% of the time the readings are above 252, including right here, this is here 2 a.m., so I don't know why the voltage would be at 252.3 volts, and that means that the set point is too high for my neighborhood, which is probably curtailing, affecting the volt var curves and changing the inverters. And so there's an impact there. Also, I believe that this hurts electronic equipment. I know that there's a big issue at 1300 block of East Capitol Street, which is very close to me. And if, they're having spikes in their power, maybe, maybe it's because, we have these huge numbers for voltage. Now here's really fascinating. Oh, wait, what is this part? High voltage, let's see. Do I have it? Nope, that's on a different thing, but then we get, this is archive database. I don't know which archive database this is, but it really doesn't matter because, you can have multiple copies of data in the archive. Although, here, this is fascinating. This is the whatever they did at 1 p.m. on November 17th, and that was the spike in the reading. So I'm not quite sure whether they just, I don't know what they did. I mean, it's just really weird. But of course, nobody will tell me because I don't need to know. I'm just the customer. And then here's really cool, this UIQ database. This is where I saw that this channel 3 voltage is it's a A to neutral, okay? And I have a Form 2S meter, which would be aligned to line, not aligned to neutral, which is why I believe that my meter is being programmed to believe it is a network meter. The arrow points down all the time. My neighbor does not have solar, and I recently took pictures at night where my arrow is down and theirs is up, and obviously I'm not generating then, so I don't know what's going on with that, but I suspect it is so that you can unlock the cheat codes with those CT, PT multipliers, and that's how you're doing your different multipliers each month for seasonal weather patterns. And I think that's all we're going to talk about on this document. This is from Pepco's August 29th, 2025 production of the data dump they gave us. And of course, I reviewed it before the hearing, but the hearing officer didn't believe me and thought that maybe OPC's technical staff would have a different conclusion than I did. Of course, they ignored it and didn't put anything in on that. So now let's talk about the other data request responses. So this is data request number 1-1, and it's supposed to be the official system of record used by Pepco for revenue grade billing purposes to calculate my monthly usage from July 2023 to present. Now, Pepco says that for AMI metered accounts, it may use one of two methods to bill: register billing or interval billing. Now that is pretty fascinating because, as we talked about earlier, the meter readings in DC must be watt-hour meter readings. There is no approval for intervals, and so any interval billing in DC is actually unlawful, and you can't do that. You do it anyway because you're Pepco and you get to do what you want because nobody is making you follow your own legal obligations. So ridiculous. Okay, so now it's funny because they actually switched. All of the billing in DC says, and Maryland says that it is interval billing. It never talks about register billing. But when they had an issue on my account in October of 2024, and they reran the bills, they turned off interval billing to force it to register billing. And that's pretty fascinating because they say that the registers cannot be changed, but as we know from earlier, Pepco did reduce the register reading on my meter when it programmed for net on June 25th, 2024. So they stepped down those readings, and then because they wanted the intervals to be reduced by a factor of 10 and they could not replace them anymore, they just turned the intervals off because they knew I was watching. How fantastic of them. They did not notify me that I was on register billing. They issued the October 4th, 2024 revised billing. Then, again, they weren't talking to me. They issued billing again on November 21st, 2024. But they also say it's registered billing. So it's very, very strange. And what's even stranger is that this says that the register billing uses an accumulating reading stored within the meter. Now, if Pepco actually has access to an accumulating reading stored within the meter, why have they not read it for mine? I mean, it's crazy because they could just come to my house right now. They could have come to my house at any time in the last 18 months and done a true up on my billing. Instead, they turned off the interval billing so that they could continue inflating my billing by 90%. Now, I think this has probably something to do with the fact that Pepco's website still says that you can only go to 100% solar power of your pre-solar load. And I think that law was changed, regulation was changed in 2021. Notably, the same rulemaking that changed Pepco's net energy metering to paying out the generation rate only in December. I don't even know that Pepco gave notice of any of that, so it's interesting since that would change the terms of service. And if they didn't provide notice beforehand and let the public participate in that process, I think that would make that regulation null and void. But it's funny because it was 20% increase per year. I know that when I applied in 2024, we were at 200%. I went to 140% of my pre-solar load. And the website still says it's 100%. And even more fascinating is that you have a solar calculator on the website, and it has not been updated since 2021 or 2022. I don't remember what year. I looked up the information before because it was when the federal tax rebate was not 30%. So whenever that changed, so I don't know if it was 26 then. And it's funny because that's still on there today, even though the federal tax credits have expired with that big, beautiful bill. So if there is a register reading, there should be, unless Pepco wiped it, which they may have done, just because they didn't want to get caught, because they were stealing my solar energy, siphoning it off. And then here it talks about interval. And it says that, I think this is talking about checksums here, which is funny because Pepco pushes it out without the checksum actually happening. And then let's see, the next one, data sources. Okay, oh, here's the fun one. All right, so this is April 29th, 2025. This is the meeting I had with Pepco was on April 22nd, 2025. And I pointed out that this midnight reading that was the start date for this bill in July 2024, it should have been the midnight at June 25th, but it was not. It was June 26th. Now, the reason that is is because if you look here, the midnight reading is 1809. So they couldn't use the 1809 number because that wouldn't work with the step down end date register reading. So they ended up using, I think they used 1846, which is just fascinating. So I believe that, I know that Nadia Joyce added that into SAP directly from IEE. So it looks to me like when the UIQ data was put into the Itron EE database, somebody fudged these numbers and made this the midnight reading for June 25th. I know that there is later a conversation in the email chain that talks about these weird dates. And let's go back to our letter here. Oh, okay. So I don't know who Glenn Ruck III is, but he is a senior engineer in the energy engineering department. I don't believe he was on the call with us on April 22nd. That was the call where Dave Tandrecki, I'm probably butchering his name. We have the transcript later. I'm sorry, Dave. But Dave is the one who said that basically the meter readings should always be like add up to, because they should always be the same because it's a meter and the numbers should match up. And that is how you know when there is something shady going on with your account, because the numbers stop adding up. And once they diverge, Pepco can't get them back on track because it is applying these multipliers on the meter in the firmware through the metrology, which is what displays the meter reading on the meter display. And so they have to apply the multiplier on the Pepco side as well in order for everything to stay aligned. And mine got misaligned, and then instead of fixing it, they tried to cover it up, which caused more cracks in the system, and I was able to follow the digital footprint all the way to where we are today. It's only taken me 18 months to get here, and nobody will actually listen to me, talk to me about any of this. Even OPC. OPC hasn't even asked me about what I know about the case. They just don't care because they're also working for Pepco and have covered up everything. It's a disgustingly gross system that really, really, really harms DC residents. And I don't know why nobody's doing anything about it, because everybody in the DC government knows, which makes me think that there is some enterprise corruption. I think we're going to call it Con Ed instead of Com Ed. But, you know, we'll leave that for the DOJ and SEC to figure out. That's not my job. I mean, this isn't my job either, for God's sake. But, so anyway, so Glenn Rock comes up with this letter that says that they shorted me 19 kilowatt hours. And he talks about this start date issue. Now, what's super, super amazingly fascinating about all of that is that, let's see, where is my complaint that has the PowerPoint that I created once I told Aaron Ayler in the Office of Consumer Services that Pepco had made my billing worse, and he said that I was definitely going to go to a formal hearing. I mean, we're talking like a week after I filed my complaint. I filed it on October 2nd, 2024. He said, you were definitely going to a formal hearing and you should document everything at an 8th grade level. And so I have been for 18 months. And now today is the deadline to petition for review of the hearing officer dismissing my complaint without actually adjudicating any issue I raised. It's a fantastic system. Everybody wasted my time all this time. If nobody was going to hold a hearing, they should have told me. You know, that would have been nice instead of just wasting my time. I guess, you know, nobody actually thought that I would be able to last this long, which is why they had to recruit OPC, my own attorneys, to actively turn against me and shut me out of the case. You guys are something else. All right, so let's see. Here is my complaint. Well, this is the copy that was sent to Pepco, and it's great because it actually says the written answer. It talks about answering here. And so, it was certified by the commission for a formal hearing because I had already had an informal hearing. And, nobody cares about that though either. So, let's see. Look at this. Table of exhibits. Yeah. Mr. Eddie almost still can't spell my name right. It's just really, really sad and disappointing because I have put all of this time into it and Pepco just doesn't care because they know they're going to get away with it. And so, let's see here. Email to, okay, so the copy that I put on here, I didn't want to, I'm one person, right? I am a consumer and I did all of this by myself. And so I did not duplicate exhibits. So this one I think was attached. It's the same document, but it was attached to my email to Aaron Ayler. Okay, fit one page. All right. So he told me that I had to document this at an 8th grade level and I was going to go to a formal hearing. Well, I decided, why don't I just document it now and send it to Pepco? I don't want to wait. You guys were actively messing with my billing and that, why? So here I say, look, the July bill accurately reflected an excess gen of 145 kilowatt hours, but Pepco reduced it to 12 kilowatt hours. That is a factor of 10 that they reduced it by, and then they used the wrong start date. So instead of it coming out to 14.5, it went to 12, which was really confusing because it wasn't a straight, if it had been a decimal place, I would have been able to figure it out faster. And I did not figure it out until Pepco filed its answer on March 25th, 2025. And this was after Pepco said that it had reviewed my billing for accuracy and deemed it correct. And that was what it expected me to just go on. And that was at the informal hearing. And that's actually why I filed this complaint, because I did not trust Pepco. I shouldn't have to trust Pepco. Pepco has a meter and it should be using it. And in fact, the consumer pamphlet that is required under the Utility Consumer Bill of Rights, 15 DCMR 300 something. And I see, look, I said we were missing over 1,000 kilowatt hours. And here, here's a great way to visualize this. Okay, so again, I told Pepco that August should be 538 because I had the download of the green button data. I told them that this 50, I didn't have a download of the green button data before it was overwritten when Pepco rendered the bill. But I did put in my original complaint that based on the decrease in the meter, it was around 500 kilowatt hours. Ended up being 498. But you see here, this is the first attempt to fix it, which my complaint specifically said these numbers. The GPC billing, the greedy power company billing, they stripped out these details. Your escalated investigations team stripped out these details. And what did you do? You perpetuated the fraud. And if I had not continued fighting, you would still be doing this to me today. How about that? You guys are gross. Okay, so I put in here, okay, oh, this is great. You can even see it. Look, 12:35, and I have the phone call where I was talking to customer service on July 29th, 2024, and we talked about this 12:35. Now, Mr. Adeyamo keeps characterizing it as me calling that day and getting all nasty with people about why I didn't get credit for stuff. Actually, it was because they issued me another estimated bill for the second month in a row. Why? Because they are stealing solar energy because they don't update this until ATO issues. So all of the bills are going to say unavailable for anybody who is between, they schedule the net metering now to turn on. They schedule it the day that they issue ATI, which we can look at right here. Let's see. When was my ATI issued? Oh, here, created on 6/4. So that was the day that I got authorization to install. So they scheduled this to occur on 6/26. So they programmed my net metering to turn on 6/25, but somehow I don't know all of these details because, again, I don't work for Pepco and I am just a customer who figured all of this out based on a single piece of paper and my big old brain. Okay, so while I was talking to customer service, we specifically discussed this 1235 and the 1380, and we even discussed this 137. So this proves that as of my July billing period, look, our intervals are at full, 100% value, but the register readings are reduced by a factor of 10. And let's see, then, oh look, here, this is the bill issued on October 4th. So we put in, oh yeah, so this is actually from the June bill because I was showing that when Nadia Joyce updated the meter readings, when she reissued the bills on October 4th, the end date is 1809. This total use is 1781. This one's a little weird. The 1781, if you recall, we were on that phone log from my call with customer service, and she is paying my meter here, and she says that the bill printed early, and she said that if they were doing a test run, I don't know what that means, but have to suspect that it has to do with the switch and the factor of 10 reduction in the alleged register readings that everybody says can't be changed, except Pepco changed them. Okay, and then here's great. Okay, so this, it was an actual reading, and so when they printed the bills, it says the numbers hadn't updated in the billing system, which is crazy because why wouldn't you just wait the 3 days until they update and print the bill? Oh, because you're committing billing fraud. I forgot. Okay, and then so Ms. McLean tells me that the reading is for 9981.91. And then she says, I don't think that's for consumption. She says that's in kilowatts. And then the estimated reading, she says, was for 1809, which is weird because we just saw here that the reading on here says 1809. So I don't know how that could be estimated, but check this out. If you look at what 1 million minus that number that she gave me, the 998191, oh look, it turns out that's 1809. So I believe, and oh actually I do know because it's in the data somewhere, this is the 601, this is the net register. So I don't know why they would be doing this. Nobody will tell me, of course, because I'm just the customer. Okay, so this is what I say, like, this doesn't make sense. They updated this reading, so how could it go from 1809 to 184? And I point this out. I mean, I called it out. This is a PowerPoint that I sent to Pepco on October 11th, 2024. 9 days after I filed my complaint. 1 week after Pepco issued the revised billing. So you guys had all of this the whole time, and everybody ignored it. Well, the GPC billing. Remember, the greedy power company who's committing the billing fraud. The Wizard of Fraud. Okay, so next we see that this is the hold bill where it's $12.35 and $13.80, and then they get reduced to this $120 and $132. Again, look here, we went from 0 to 5. How did my meter reading start at 5? That doesn't make sense. And I pointed that out somewhere in here as well. Then I talk about this August bill, okay. This is great. And so I knew that this was off by a factor of 10 because I talked to Ms. McLean from Pepco on June 26th. I thought it was supposed to be that way. I mean, obviously this multiplier still doesn't make sense, right? Because like, look, that can't be the right multiplier because it's a factor of 10. But why follow the rules when you don't have to, Pepco? Okay, so now I, put in this, look, it's 537.62, but of course nobody listens to me. This reading was unavailable because the end date reading was unavailable. So this is the first time I get a use reading that is accurate since my meter was installed on May 21st. Because everything had been unavailable up until that time. Then, let's see. Oh, here, this is great. So I summed up the daily totals for the August billing period. So this was downloaded on 8/25. They restarted the interval on 8/27. And then I pulled this on 8/28. Now, you can see the repeating pattern. It's, every hour of the day it repeats, but so I gave them this. I mean, obviously, this is just ridiculous, right? Like, you guys trying to steal 500 kilowatt hours from me. That is insane. And you're trying to cover it up. And what's even crazier is that it's basically been admitted that this factor of 10 error happened. And this, I believe, is program ID 509. And I don't know why the commission won't let me ask you about it. If I were the commission, I would be ethical and honest and fulfill my legal, mandatory, statutory duties as a commissioner, because, I'm an honest person. They won't even let me, they don't care. They don't even want to know. There's no questions being asked about why this happened. Nobody cares because Pepco gets to do what it wants. Okay, and then we have the August to September bill. And see, I can say that because these are off by 10, a factor of 10, the difference between July 27th and September 28th, it's you can see that there's 1,000 kilowatt hour difference. And I told you guys that. But again, why would anybody listen to me? And then we have some bills here. Let's see. Oh, these are fun. Here's my email to GPC billing that I still haven't received a call. And they made it worse. And if this isn't intentional, then why aren't you working with me to resolve it? Because they don't have to. They get to do what they want. And this is the email that I sent on Friday, October 4th. I didn't know that Pepco was revising the bills that day. But, again, I am, look at all this information I provide. Do you have any idea how long it takes to write this stuff out? And I was right about all of it, too. And you guys just ignored it. You didn't even give it to the engineers in November. And then all of a sudden, you're still telling me that Pepco didn't know. Oh, we didn't find out until November. It's a lie. It's not even a material misrepresentation. That is a flat out lie. You are lying in legal pleadings. You are perpetuating fraud on the tribunal. You're wasting my time. You're continuing to waste my time. And I have been up all night recording these videos because nobody will listen to me. And this story has to get out there because what you are doing is criminal. Okay, let's see. That was the 11th. Oh, and then look, I follow up again on the 16th. And look, I talk about speaking with Mr. Honesty. And, here, this is great. Look, so here's the July graph, right? Where you can see the scale is 40 to negative 40. Then, look at August, from 0 to negative 3 kilowatt hours. September, negative 4 to positive 4. Now look, the day after this billing period ends, we get to September 25th, and then look, it's at 25. And it goes back to normal. I called Pepco on the 30th, which is right here. And guess what? This is the estimated data day where they added, over these couple of days, it's really weird because I think they were trying to credit me with 30 kilowatt hours of excess. Yeah, they were crediting me with 30 kilowatt hours of excess generation, which is why the portal showed that I had a credit of 262.82 and Itron 1001 channel was at 289.29. And so they added 30 kilowatt hours of credit, but look at this. That's weird because it's a spike showing use. And there's something weird going on with these graphs because the graphs on the bills and the graphs on the portal are different. Each month, the portal shows actual back and forth like this, but let's see, this is the original Pepco bill. See, there's no way, right? Because look, this is all positive. So how did that add up to negative 50? It didn't. So I don't know. I wonder if, I bet if I take the total of these, it's probably negative. I bet this adds up to 50. But of course I can't do that because the scale on these changes every month. The August bill, on the other hand, oh, look at that. Huh. Yeah, I'll bet that's what's happening. Fantastic. Gotta love cheaters. Now the July bill does the same thing with all use, even though I had a negative 145 solar credit. So it just really doesn't make sense, but nothing Pepco does make sense. So, okay, where are we going now? Back to that is the hearing officer's order dismissing my case because clearly I don't have a claim. Okay, so back to Glenn Ruck's letter. Now, this letter was signed on April 29th, 2025. I did not get a copy until August 29th, 2025. I can't imagine who would be concerned more than me about this. And given Mr. Adayamo's accidental admission on the record at the follow-up conference on September 5th, he said we already agreed on this. And so my strong suspicion is that Pepco gave this to OPC and they had an agreement that OPC was going to file a brief somehow with this 19 or something. But then they found out that I was filing a brief, and they still haven't told me why they didn't file a brief. So I'm definitely gonna. What else could they be doing? They weren't just gonna do nothing. And then if we go into his analysis, there's this monthly analysis every month. So if we go look at October 2024, and then let's make this bigger so everybody can see it at home. The interval on the bill is $631. Now, I don't know why it would be $650 here, and $913 here, but let's see. I wonder if that adds up to the numbers that we were looking at. 913.22 and subtract 650.39. 262.83. Oh, looky there. Guess what? That is what is on the portal. So I don't know. Anyway, but Mr. Ruck decides that, the interval summation has a discrepancy for both use type values. He says that billing used the correct register readings to accurately generate the billed invoice. Oh, that's right, because this isn't the interval billing. This is when they forced it to go to register billing. So the interval, this is actually the real interval, but the bill was based on register reads. And, even though the bill still says that it's on intervals, wow, that makes sense. But this is why Pepco had such a hard time figuring this out, because this is the second revised October bill. The first October bill was for -29. And so they just could not figure out what was going on because none of the numbers added up. But, why admit when you're wrong when you can just lie? And then here, this is great. Okay, so look at this. This is the 83.78 and this 13359. Well, the reason that these are reduced like this is because during the bill rendering process, Pepco replaced them and reduced them. And what's interesting is that Mr. Ruck believes that the register readings are absolute and uses those as his baseline to say, here he says, use the correct register readings. But what's weird is these register readings were, 83.8 and 133.6 before. So that was on the October 4th rebill, and this is the November 21st rebill, which is why Pepco seriously cannot figure out the billing on my account and keeps saying that is having communication issues with my meter. There's no communication issue. They just turned it off in SAP because they could. They wanted to push through the bills. So if its summation is increased by a factor of 10, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then we get to August. Again, these are the reduced values, and they match what is on the portal, because when they IEE has to fudge the numbers first, right, before it can go into SAP. So when the bill's about to process, IEE issues, or whoever's up on that team, they regenerate, they force the intervals to change, and then that changes the portal. I'd be curious to know if other customers notice this same trend, because my account only got changed to not do this after I caught them. So I guess maybe I'll have to put that on my listserv to see if anybody knows about that. Same thing, reduced by 10. And then here's the crazy one. Okay, so this is the July bill that they revised on November 21st. Now, when they, let's see, where is it? because it's crazy, right? So this is 1201, and you see that these are at full 100%, not reduced by 10. So we go here, and this is in the internal email thread. Oh, here. Okay. So after November 17th, so this is on November 18th, right? So on November 17th, on Sunday, is when they allegedly reprogrammed my meter. So they go to do the rebill, and they say the rebill, has this total of 1235 and total excess gen of 1380. And, it doesn't calculate to the difference based on the reads on the bill. So we go here, and lo and behold, these are reduced by a factor of 10. Now, this 5 that is the bad start date. Now, here's what's crazy. These totals right here are the same as my original July bill. And that is because they did not restart the interval until August 27th. So when they reran this bill and they tried to run it in interval mode, these intervals were not reduced by a factor of 10. So this is on November 18th. On November 19th, they restarted the interval again for this time going back to July. And so on the 19th, and I actually caught it that day, which is crazy because I was paying that much attention because I had to, because Pepco just kept changing things, and then they would destroy the data before I could see it again, which was really, really crappy of them. But this total here, so they restarted the interval on the 19th, and then they reissued these bills using register data, not interval data. Now, these, the difference between these two numbers is right around 85. And that is, let's see, where do we have a good, should I show my complaint? The complaint might be shut, but that's okay. I emailed Aaron Ayler right when that happened as well. So let's see, look at all these emails, 16, 21, 22, email, because Pepco wouldn't talk to me. And the commission just let them ignore me and withheld the response. And then it's funny because Aaron Ayler told me that I had to stop asking questions because if I didn't, I would never get to the formal hearing stage. Believe it. 18 months later, I'm still not at the formal hearing stage. But he gave me one more chance to ask questions. So he told me to draft these questions, and I took the time to draft them with care because I wanted answers. I mean, it took me 2 days to consolidate, because all of this stuff is going on, right? And I'm just the customer. Nobody's talking to me. I am observing all of this just from the portal data, the pictures of my meter. And so I have, here's net energy metering, because Mr. Honesty told me on October 15th or 17th, whenever I spoke with him, that I was going to be billed pursuant to whatever the commission said on their website, which the data is not on their website either. It's not on Pepco's website. So you have to actually go into the net metering rules, and of course the commission's rules are so overly complicated because the net metering rules are separate than the small generator rules, which are separate from the whatever the rules are for SRECs. Okay, so I send these questions to Mr. Ayler, and I did a FOIA request, and there's no record that he ever sent them to Pepco, so that was really, really nice of him. Thank you, Aaron Ayler, for wasting my time. Look at me. Oh, I appreciate your assistance in attempting to resolve these issues. He didn't attempt to resolve anything. He just ran cover for Pepco. Let's see. Meter test. Look at this. This is funny too because later, Kunle Adeyemo repeatedly has said, "Oh, Miss Levinson could have asked for a meter test sooner." Well, I did. Actually, I told them I didn't need a meter test because none of the issues were actually happening from my meter. It was all happening on Pepco's side because this is a thing that they're doing in the billing system and in the meter data management system. And so they're basically exploiting all of these technological capabilities that I'm pretty sure that we paid for: smart meters, advanced metering infrastructure. So that was supposed to be helping us, not letting you commit billing fraud. But look at here. Oh, when do you expect to receive Pepco's response? Oh, look, he gave them another extension. Why? Because Pepco, greedy power company team, and the escalated investigations team did not give the engineers the details of my complaint. So of course they needed more time because they didn't have any idea what was going on. So why was that information withheld? And then of course they tell the engineers not to call me, because if they had bothered calling me in October how about this? If somebody had talked to me on September 30th when I called, all of this could have been avoided. But no, you wanted to torture me for 18 months. I know I was supposed to give up. I mean, that's the plan, right? You make it so hard and so impenetrable that everybody gives up. And then, guess what? You don't have any investigations, so that's never going to trigger the paragraph 105 severance provision of the Exelon Pepco merger. If the commission never investigates, you will never be found to be in material violation of your legal obligations, even though you clearly are. I mean, come on, this entire 18-month, multiple thousands of hours of work I've put in on this show that. But we can't get rid of you, Exelon. Woohoo, profiteers. Let's see. Oh, here. I'm not sure if you've received anything from Pepco yet. November 21st. Now, this is, on November 18th, they asked for more time. They asked for 3 more days because they needed to issue the bills. But it's funny because they already knew that there was another issue, even though they actually did rerun that bill, that July bill. That test run was done on the 18th, and that was the day they were supposed to respond. But then they didn't have their falsification down just right, so they had to ask for a 3-day delay. Of course, I didn't hear anything by this time, and here, look at this. I mean, come on. Who writes like this? You guys this is insane. And I had to put all of it in writing because nobody would talk to me. And so, you guys forced me to do this and then ignored it all. So here, okay, so this is what you guys did for July on when you restarted. I think was on the 19th. It's funny, I have screenshots from the 19th. So I think at 10 in the morning, the data was normal, and then sometime that night it changed. But you can see this, and this is again the sum for the day. They change this 7-day repeating pattern, right? All the way through the month. But check this out. These 3 days weren't changed. This is the estimated commissioning date of my system, so I don't know. I suspect that there's a break point. Oh, actually, I think there is, because there's a meter ping off schedule on the 28th, which is what you guys do when you have a period of time, right? So you have blocks of time, and if you want to, for example, put in a billing block, you have to use these dates, and that's also how you're doing the validation estimation and editing. Now 626, you see, it's just a 10%, like it's a decimal place change, but the hourly readings were not a decimal place change. They were actually a falsified data pattern to equal 1.47. And so here, check this out. I mean, so this is the interval being restarted on the 19th. And it even says in the email chain that the interval reset, but that it wasn't going to be used for billing purposes. And that's why Pepco can't recreate my bills. Which, you know, I mean, they could just come check the register on the meter, but, you know, that would just prove their fraud. And so, look, this is the July bill, like, before that. Up until from the time it issued, at the end of July 24th, 2024, up until November 19th, it looked like this. All right, let's see. Man, this is like, I don't know how many hours I'm up to now on this one, but I looked earlier, and I think one video was an hour and a half, one was half an hour, and one was an hour and 11 minutes. So let's see. Okay. Okay. Oh. So this right here is this negative 85. So we know that this archive database data was not the original data. This is the whatever's in the database post November 19th, 2024. And, you know, you guys have to keep records. I mean, you have to survive an audit, right? So that, like, if anybody does ever look, you can't just not have records. So you have them somewhere. You might have destroyed mine, but you either have them and you're withholding them, or you destroyed them, and that would be spoliation. Not to mention the fact that I reported this issue to you on September 30th, into the commission on October 2nd, and you kept messing with stuff after that. And that's, you know, spoliation, because you should not be doing that with an active consumer complaint pending at the commission. I mean, I know that you're never going to get caught, right? Because the commission is protecting you. But they're just waiting till the meter test, and then everybody's going to expect it all to go away. And then if you keep complaining, they just replace your meter, which basically gives them a start over to start everything at zero again. So he says it appears to be due to incorrect estimation by billing of the interval data summation in effect of the incorrect NEM meter program. Now, it appears that way to him because he didn't check with anybody. And Pepco certainly knew that I knew that all of this was happening. So I suspect that they pulled Mr. Ruck in on this because he was not involved earlier and had not been contaminated with my knowledge at the April 22nd meeting. It's either that or Mr. Ruck is corrupt too. Then we have this is a great one. So this is the May and June bill. Weird, right? Well, because this is the May 22nd, right? So my meter was replaced on May 21st. So why did they put these onto the same bill? Who knows? Because they can. Now, one of the questions that I have repeatedly asked Pepco, it is in my formal hearing complaint. It is in my brief. Mr. Adeyemo even said that he would answer this question when we met on April 22nd. He told me to put it in the brief. And he didn't answer it, of course. But the difference between these two numbers, let's see what that is, 166,285 minus 165,433. Okay, that's 852. Okay, so that is not the same as 889. And I keep asking why they did not put, this is the old meter number. You can see it's a different meter number. Why they would issue the bill without both pieces of information. Why isn't the new meter on here? And why wasn't this issued as an estimated bill? Because if you go on to the portal data, the May 21st data is estimated. I think from 8 a.m. on the 21st until midnight. So, it's basically whatever Pepco wants it to be. And then this is my favorite, for real. So I had been asking, how do I, meter reading, because my meter had flipped backwards because it was new, so, it went below zero, and nobody would tell me how to, figure out the numbers, because I couldn't just, subtract the meter reading for use in Excess Gen to get the meter display. So on September 5th follow-up conference, Mr. Adeyemo pulls this document up. Well, if you recall, I spent the entire Labor Day weekend reviewing all of this production because nobody produces documents when they don't have to. The hearing officer had already said he was not going to rule on any motions until the follow-up conference. So Pepco knew it did not need to produce anything, so that is just suspicious. And also, this is a consumer complaint about meter reading accuracy, and I don't understand why Pepco is resorting to Bush League litigation tactics. I mean, it's like evidence of guilt. Anyway, so he pulls this up, right? And this. And I say, Mr. Adeyemo, that's not on your website. Can you give me a site for that? Because I have scoured Pepco's website. I probably know it better than anybody who works at Pepco. And I even told him that I checked the Internet Archive, the Wayback Machine, and shortly after that meeting, he said he would send me the link for it. He didn't, but Pepco actually put this on their website after that meeting, and they wiped the Internet Archive stuff, which is just, come on, guys. But what's really funny is that this is not even what a Pepco bill looks like. I don't know which of your subsidiaries this came from, but see how it says actual here? That's not printed anywhere on Pepco's bills. So this is not a Pepco bill. They put it up on the website. So, they are going really, really far out of their way for saying, oh, this love instance thing, it's a one-off. It's a one-off. And even if it is a one-off, I deserve answers. You can't just say, oh, it's a one-off and tell me to go pound sand. That's not how this works. It does, because you're getting away with it. But if Pepco's not doing anything wrong, why is it, manufacturing stuff and putting it on its website for one customer? Come on, guys. That's sus. And also, this whole FC 1050 technical conference on February 4th, 2025, where you did the song and dance on the record. It was all performance art. And then nobody followed up on any of it. It's so shady. Ooh, it's gross. And I'm going to take a break.